Hello and welcome back to some more Spongebob Squarepants Battle for Bikini Bottom, where last time we began our adventures by exploring the Bikini Bottom hub world, and today we are going to be continuing our adventures by beginning to explore our first level of the game, Jellyfish Fields. Let's step on the taxi pad and press A to enter Jellyfish Fields.
The rolling green hills of Jellyfish Fields. A place to experience nature at its most raw, and sometimes a bit tender from the stings.
Squidward, are you okay?
No, I'm not okay, you barnacle head. Do I look like I'm okay?
Well, your nose does look pretty big. I mean, bigger than usual because it's usually pretty big. And you look clammy. And oh my gosh, you're bald!
I've always been bald, but now I'm stung all over.
Well, according to the Jellyfisher Field Manual, severe jellyfish stings can be treated effectively by applying a thick layer of king jellyfish jelly to the affected areas. King Jellyfish?
Well, I guess you're off to scale Spork Mountain and die a horrible death under the vicious tentacles of King Jellyfish. I'll stay here, balled up here in excruciating pain.
You do that! Don't worry, Squidward. I'll bring back that King Jellyfish jelly for you to rub all over yourself.
Alright, welcome to Jellyfish Fields, your very first level of the game. And now is when we're going to be introduced to the concept of combat. So this enemy right here is called fodder, and it's pretty simple. They go down in one hit, just like that, and they're really not much of a threat to you. They're essentially cannon fodder, if you will, tish. So yeah, nothing much of a threat. They're just kind of a basic introductory enemy to get you used to the combat system. So for now, all you gotta worry about is just walking up to them and pressing the X button to take them out. And before I get too far ahead of myself, I want to show you this right here. This is a teleport box. When you have both of the teleport boxes in the area open, you may teleport between them by jumping inside. So, for instance, we can open this one right here for now, and then when we get to the top of the hill, we'll be able to jump in that teleport box up there to easily jump back and forth between the beginning and end of the level if we need to ever for any reason. Also, even if you don't open the first teleport box in the level, you can still jump into the second teleport box, and it will automatically warp you back to the first one, even if you didn't open it. But the reverse is not true. So, like, I can't jump in here and then warp to the end of the level without opening the second box. So just a nice little bit of design to make sure you don't, like, in case you miss the box on your way, and you can still teleport back on your way out. Anyway, so before we go check out those fodders up ahead, we're going to stick to the right-hand side so that we don't accidentally trigger them. And if we jump up here, you'll be able to jump on top of this mushroom right here to bounce yourself up and grab some shiny objects, because it's still early game, and we don't really have, because the grinding spots for shiny objects that I mentioned at the end of the last episode aren't going to come until later in the game. So for now, you just want to make sure you collect any shiny objects you can, so that you don't encounter any pay gates. Well, you're going to encounter pay gates. I mean, so that you don't encounter any walls to the point where you have to stop and grind. So that you can actually progress in the first place. Just make sure you still keep collecting those shiny objects. Yeah, as you can see, the cannon fodders, the fodders are going down in one hit without much of a threat to you whatsoever. But the reason I'm heading into this cave right here is instead of going to across the bridge, because there's actually a sock waiting for you at the end of this cave. And as a reminder, by both the game and myself, 10 Patrick socks can be traded in for a golden spatula. So we're halfway there. We have 5 of the 10 we need to trade in, and by the end of Jellyfish Fields, we will have more than enough to trade in to Patrick for a golden spatula. Now then, that's all we can do for this area, so we're going to head to the bridge right here and feed the clam 125 shiny objects to complete the bridge. That plane up there dropped the load, which means that now we can head across the bridge and hit our first checkpoint flag. This is a checkpoint. If you are defeated after activating a checkpoint, you will restart the checkpoint. I'm sure I don't need to explain to you the concept of a checkpoint flag. You've seen these in every game ever. It's a checkpoint. That's just kind of how they work. Anyway, you may have also noticed that there was a sock on the lake when we first spawned into the area, kind of near the beginning. And we can actually get this right now. You're not supposed to be able to, because there's more than just, okay, can I hit this tiki, please? There we go. SpongeBob is not the only playable character in this game. You can also play as Patrick and Sandy, and we're going to play as Patrick later today, and but we're not going to play as Sandy for, I think, 2 more days. Anyway, this is Freezy Fruit. Only Patrick can use the Freezy Fruit. The idea behind this is that you pick this up, because Patrick can pick things up, and throw it into the lake, which will then cause the lake to freeze, and allow you to walk out onto the lake to pick up the sock. And in the rehydrated version of this game, that is the only way that you can actually obtain this sock. But in this version of the game, there's a little bit of an exploit that we're gonna do just to make our lives easier. So what you want to do is double jump up to smack this bottom tiki, then double jump on top of this stack of tikis right here, then double jump on top of this mushroom. The camera will automatically pan down, go to the very edge of the mushroom, wait until SpongeBob hits the mushroom. So like he's gonna hit it right now. As soon as he hits it, move forward, then jump once, spin, and you will fall on top of the sock. You're probably not supposed to be able to get it that way, but it's a real big hassle to have to come back here with Patrick later to grab that with the Freezy Fruit. So it's just easier if we get it right now, and then we don't have to worry about it for the rest of the level. But yeah, unfortunately, if you're playing on Rehydrated, you do have to actually, like in the Rehydrated version of this game, you do actually have to get this legit way by using the Freezy Fruit. But in this version, in the original game, you can do what I just did. Anyway, now you want to double jump and spin stall. You'll notice I'm double jumping and then spin stalling to extend my jump height my jump width and height, and my time in the air is what I'm trying to say. My time, extend my air time as long as I possibly can so that I can get to this point, and then bubble bounce on top of this button right here to cause a bunch of barrels to appear out of the lake, and then I can just jump across all these like so, because as you can see, there is a sock waiting for us on this tiny little island, as well as some high value shiny objects, including 5 blue ones and 1 purple one, which, as you may recall from my little speech at the end of the last episode, these are the highest, the most valuable in the entire game. With the purple ones being most valuable and the blue ones being the second most valuable. So you definitely want to make sure you pick up any of those if you see them. And I will be sharing the locations of some of the purple shiny objects as we go throughout the game. Now then, this can be a bit tricky because you kind of have to watch out for these things as they come down the hill. So you want to make sure you time your jumps appropriately so that you don't get accidentally knocked in. You don't accidentally get knocked into you. Once you get to the top of the hill, you can break this cannon with 1 punch to make sure that it can't shoot any more deadly balls at you anymore. Now, let's go talk to Gary.
Hey, Gary, what's shaking? Wow, a bungee jump for a golden spatula! I must be in heaven!
Okay, so now it's time to introduce yet another gameplay mechanic, bungee jumping. This is a bungee hook. SpongeBob can bungee from it. To bungee from the bungee hook, just jump up and touch it. To dive downward, press the A button. To exit the bungee hook, press the B button. Yep, it's as simple as that. Just jump up to grab the bungee hook, and you'll automatically be starting to dive downward like this. And you have a lot of control of where you are in the air by just moving around with the left control stick. And you can dive at any time you want like this. And then you can back up and pressing the B button. If you found this game through Rehydrated and you're just revisiting the classic to see what it's like, you'll notice that the bungee controls are a lot more fluid in this version. So yeah, you have a lot more control over where you're diving in this version. But for the first bungee section, all you gotta do is just dive down and grab the golden spatula, and then press the B button to back out. They'll get a little bit more complicated than that the further we go into the game. But for this first one, it's pretty simple. Just jump on, dive down, grab the spatula, and you're done. All right, now we can move on to the next section. Just spin attack this button to cause a bunch of platforms to rise out of the ground. And we can jump across all these, making sure to stop on that middle platform up ahead to defeat the fodder so that he doesn't cause us any problems, just like so. Now, combat's been pretty easy so far. We haven't had anything really major to deal with, just a couple fodders that go down in 1 shot. But the concept of single-shot enemies is about to end with this next enemy. See, this enemy is called Hammer, and it's funny because he has a hammer made out of ham. Get it? It's funny. Anyway, so he still goes down with 1 hit, but unlike the fodders, he's actually a little bit more dangerous because he can actually whack you with a hammer. So what you want to do is you want to pay attention to when he's about to swing it. He'll always wind up his attack before he swings like that, so you have ample time to get out of the way and dodge it so he can't actually hit you. And just like the fodders, they go down in 1 shot. So he still goes down in one shot, but they're a lot more dangerous than the fodders are because they can actually do significant amounts of damage to you, and they're a little bit harder to dodge. But you still have ample time to get out of the way before he gets the chance to swing down on you. Now then, I'm just going around to break a few more boxes and take out a few more enemies that we can see along the way before I move on. Not necessary, of course, but again, I still highly encourage that you get as many shiny objects as you can, so that you can reduce any potential paywalls you may encounter along the way. And we're also going to drop down here to grab ourselves a blue shiny object. And you may have noticed there's a little bit of a mini game over here you can play, but SpongeBob needs to know the bubble bowl move in order to play this game, because if you step on this, you'll see that there's a bunch of bowling balls there. And there's even a sock up there in the sky. You can see it floating above the minigame, which we can obtain if we win this. But SpongeBob doesn't know the bubble bowl yet, so we can't really do anything with this, so we're just going to leave it here for now. But keep that in mind for later. When we get to episode 8, we will be coming back here to play that minigame. Again, you want to dodge the hammer, then take him out. Hop on top of these tikis to grab a green shiny object right up there, which is one slot below the blue shiny objects in terms of how valuable they are. Then we can keep moving on, breaking the tikis as we go, so that we can make our way through the level, and of course get the shiny objects that we get from doing so. You don't have to break everything I'm breaking, because at this point you probably have more than enough shiny objects in order to get you through most of this level. But I just like to stop to break what I can, so that I never run out of, so that I lessen the risk of encountering any paywalls. Anyway, this is goo. SpongeBob and Patrick can't swim, so don't let them fall in the goo. Yeah, if you try to jump in the goo, you're just going to bounce back out, and if you try to do it a couple more times, you're just going to drown. I don't really want to drown, but trust me, it happens. If you aren't careful and you fall in, you will drown, so don't do that. You want to make sure you stay out of it, and just jump across the platforms like so. Just take out both the fodder and the hammer as you do. If you want to take the risk, you can jump across these floating tikis to grab the blue shiny object. It's a bit risky because they are floating, so they're constantly moving, and they're pretty tiny hitboxes. But if you're confident in your platforming abilities, it's not that bad. So yeah, you can grab that blue shiny object, and I just fell right off the map is what I just did. Yeah, I was talking about being confident in my platform abilities, and I just stepped, because I was trying to jump up to hit it like this and then jump back. That hammer just did a mean fell right off the map. Alright, that's interesting. Very interesting indeed. Now let's knock this guy off the map just like that. Bye. See you later, buddy. Okay, now before we go any further, there's a little bit of a platforming gauntlet you can go through with these mushrooms, but before you do that, you want to turn the camera around, then bounce up here using this mushroom to get on top of this ledge, and then jump across these tikis to grab a sock floating at the top of this fountain in the center. The game wants you to think that the mushroom can only bounce you in one direction, but if you turn the camera around, you can actually get up there and grab that sock the way I just did it. Then we can go bounce the wall on the mushrooms the way the game wants you to, because of course at the end of this gauntlet of mushrooms, there is going to be a sock waiting for us at the top of Jellyfish Rock. So we're going to go ahead and bounce across these, and then once we hit this last one, the control will be taken from you, and you'll automatically land on top of the rock, and the sock will be yours. And now we're only one sock away from having enough to trade in with Patrick for a golden spatula, which we will be doing at the end of the level. Just as a general rule of thumb, after every single level, we will always go to Patrick, because we'll almost always have enough socks from our time in the level to trade in with Patrick for a golden spatula. Anyway, that machine huffing and puffing over there is the Duplicatotron 1000. The D1000 will continue to create robots until it is destroyed. Be careful though, it goes out with a big bang. Yeah, so just a small note to make, this is the other half of the teleport box that we saw earlier, so we can now freely warp back and forth between the beginning and end of the level whenever we choose to. Anyway, yeah, so your first priority should usually always be to head straight for the Duplicatotron. There will be some exceptions to the rule a bit later, but for now, just focus on taking on the Duplicatotron, then run away as fast as possible, so that you don't get caught in the explosion, because that explosion can do some pretty big damage to you if you get caught up in it. But from there, you're going to mop up all the hammers and fodders that it threw out, and then hit this button to drop the gate, and then you can collect another golden spatula as a reward for reaching the top of this area. Now, let's head into the next section of Jellyfish Fields, which is the Jellyfish Caves.
Wow! Mermaid Man! I have all your comics and toys and mail.
Huh? What? Oh, yeah, it's that Sponge Kid. And now, what was I supposed to tell you?
That Patrick is surrounded by robots and needs my help.
Huh? Oh, no. I think it had something to do with massaging my feet.
Well, if massaging your feet will save Patrick, then massage I must.
Help! They're making me hit myself!
Massaging your feet isn't working. I think I'd better try a more direct approach.
By clipping my toenails?
Here I come, Patrick!
Alright, so we're gonna go rescue Patrick, and we'll in turn be able to play as Patrick once we succeed in rescuing him. But before we get to that point, we have one more gameplay element to introduce. The concept of sliding. This is a slide. When SpongeBob, Patrick, or Sandy jump onto a slide, they will zip down the slope at hydrodynamic speeds. Sliding is one of the best parts of this game. It is an absolute blast. And to add the cherry on top, you get to listen to this awesome music in the background. You're gonna hear that track a lot throughout the course of the game, but unfortunately I can't let you listen to it too much, because now I need to tell you to jump up here on the right-hand side to enter this secret passage so you can collect the sock in the middle. And then you want to stay to the right-hand side and double jump right here to get on top of this platform and grab another sock. Yeah, I wish I could have just let you listen to the music, because the sliding controls are pretty self-explanatory. You hold the left stick left and right to slide, and you press the A button to jump. You can either do a single jump or double jump. And I'll do it one more time, just for fun. Yeah, the sliding controls are pretty self-explanatory. Just either go left or right, and you can you can jump or double jump. But the reason I couldn't let you listen to the music for too long there is because I needed to explain to you that you need to jump up to this right-hand path right here to get the sock. And then, of course, when we get to the end here, you need to double jump again to get this. And if you miss either of those socks because I didn't speak fast enough, or you missed the final jump, you can always jump in the teleport box so that you can warp back up to the top and try the slide again. Now, we have this section to deal with. As you can see, there are 3 Duplicatotrons guarding 3 buttons. We have to hit all 3 of those buttons in order to raise a series of platforms that will allow us to reach Patrick and free him from the grasps of the robots. So, it doesn't really matter what order you hit them in, but we are going to save the one in the middle for last, because that is the closest button to where the platforms will spawn, so it'll be nice and convenient for us to be able to jump straight across the platforms after we finish hitting all 3 buttons. So, but you can hit these first 2 in pretty much any order you want. You can either go left or right first. It doesn't really matter. It's up to you. Now, you may notice that what I did just there is I knocked one of the robots into another robot, which is a cool thing you can do in this game. You can actually pull off combos by, if you hit a robot at the right angle, you can knock them into each other, which is a pretty cool thing you can do, and something you'll see me do either accidentally or intentionally quite a lot throughout the course of the game. It's pretty neat. Now, that's the first 2 buttons hit, so we can now jump across this next series of platforms right here to hit our 3rd button, and then that will allow us to reach Patrick and rescue him. Then, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to be able to play as Patrick. Oh, and it's pretty self-explanatory, but in case it wasn't obvious, make sure you destroy all the Duplicatotrons at each button that you come across, so that you can stop the enemies from spawning, so you have less to worry about as you hit all the buttons. Anyway, now we can jump across these platforms and reach Patrick and finally get to play as him for the first time in this game.
Hey, SpongeBob.
Whew! Thank goodness you're safe, Patrick.
Well, of course, SpongeBob. Why wouldn't I be?
Well, the robots and...
Oh yeah, I found this for you. I don't know what it is, but it looks important.
Thanks, Patrick. I tell you what, all that running around has left me pooped. Why don't you continue on for a bit?
Okay.
Alright, so now we can collect our first golden spatula as Patrick, totaling 6 so far. Now, Patrick controls pretty much the same way SpongeBob does in terms of the fluidity of being able to move around. There's short jumps and then high jumps, and then of course there's double jumping as well as single jumping. The difference being that instead of a spin attack, Patrick has a bit of a belly bump attack. So, you know, it's functionally pretty much the same, except that it's a more direct attack instead of having the range of motion that you have when you spin around. He doesn't bubble bounce, but he does do a bit of a belly flop, which is the same, it has the same functionality, just different aesthetic look. He can't bubble bash, though. That is something that he cannot do. But what he can do is pick up objects, like I said earlier. This is a throw fruit. Patrick can pick up throw fruit and throw it. The throw fruit will push buttons, destroy tikis, or damage robots, but use it quickly because throw fruit will wilt after a few seconds. For the sake of simplicity, I will simply be referring to this as a watermelon because, let's face it, that's basically what it is. So yeah, you can pick up these watermelons with the B button, and as the sign said, it will wilt after a few seconds, so you have to make use of it pretty quickly. So what we're going to do with this is we're just going to walk over here, and then once the hands appear around the button, you can feel free to press B again to throw it. and then activate the button, which will then cause the gate to lower. So yeah, the hands are a nice indication of how long you have until the watermelon. The hands are a nice indication of where you're going to throw it, and you'll notice the watermelon will start to kind of flash in and out as it's about to wilt. So that's a nice indicator of how long you have until it fades away. Anyway, yeah, you can also pick up and throw tikis, such as this one. There's really no limit to what Patrick can and can't pick up when it comes to interactable objects. And you will see me doing this a little bit later in the game, but for the time being, we're mainly going to focus on picking up all the watermelons. And yeah, this is a bus stop. So if you're wondering what the bus stop does, it allows us to switch characters like this. Now, there's really no reason to switch to SpongeBob right now, because this entire section is basically just a tutorial section for Patrick. But it is there if you want to, for some reason. Anyway, for our next mission, we need to pick up this watermelon, then throw it to this first ledge right here, then hurry to pick it up again to throw it onto the second ledge right here, then hurry to pick it up one last time to pick it up and throw it at this button before it wilts away. Just like so. And remember, you want to make sure to wait to throw it until you can see the hands appear around the button, so you know that it's safe to actually, you know you'll get a guaranteed hit when you actually press B button to throw it again. Now this is a teeter-totter that only Patrick can use. Have Patrick pick up a throw fruit, stand on the pink starfish slide, then throw the fruit at the target slide. Patrick will then be flung across the other side of the lake. Now, it's not just watermelons that this works with. Basically, any solid throw logic this will work with. But for now, you can just use watermelon. It works perfectly fine. So stand here, throw it at the target once the hand appears, and you'll get launched across the map and land safely right over here. And this is a nice demonstration that you can also pick up tiki, such as the Thunder Tiki. This is a new type we haven't seen so far. When Patrick touches it, it will begin to storm, and after a few seconds will go boom. Don't be near it when it goes boom. So yeah, basically, if I touch this thing, you'll see that a lightning cloud will appear, and that's a nice indicator of how long you have until it explodes. But you can also trigger the explosion early if you either attack it with the X button, which I'm not going to do because then it'll do damage to me, or if you pick it up and then throw it at something like this, then you can also trigger the explosion early. And there's also a tiny mushroom back here that you can use to launch stuff up there again if you want to for some reason. I don't know why you would, but it's there. And now, this is pretty much the end of the episode. That was just a nice little basic tutorial for how to use Patrick. And then this next section is going to be the gauntlet that makes sure you know for sure that you know what you're doing with Patrick. We're going to do that in the next episode. But before we do that, I do want to get one last little dialogue bit with good old Plankton over here.
Hey, you barnacle head! Watch where you're going!
The rock is talking to me. Almighty rock, I am at your command.
Down here, you big pink lummox!
Oh, hi there, Mr. Plankton. Are you going to vaporize me today?
So very tempting. Unfortunately, I found myself in the undesirable position of having to assist you.
I was in an undesirable position yesterday, and now my neck hurts.
Heed my words, my large future minion. Go into Jellyfish Cave. Follow the instructions on the signs that you see. At the end of the caves, you'll still be a big pink idiot, but you'll know enough to help defeat the robots and get me back into the chum bucket.
Well, then will you vaporize me?
I might spare your life so I can force you to work in my sweatshop, making low-quality design and knockoff wallets.
Oh, thank you.
Alright, so to open the cave, you can just jump and then use the belly flop attack I mentioned earlier to open the gate, and then you can access the caves. But we're not going to be heading in there just yet. I want to save this a little bit of a mystery for next episode, when this is going to be our first test of Patrick, because this was just a nice little tutorial to make sure you understand the basic controls of Patrick. But the Jellyfish Caves, this is going to be the gauntlet to make sure you really understand how Patrick works, to test your skills thus far. And that'll be all covered in tomorrow's episode. So that'll be it for now. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for next time to catch you all tomorrow for some more SpongeBob Squarepants Battle for Bikini Bottom. Goodbye!